Living for others is a deeply ingrained behavior that often emerges from social conditioning, cultural expectations, or personal insecurities. From a young age, we are taught to accommodate, adapt, and sacrifice for others. We are praised for putting others first, and this becomes a hallmark of being good. Yet beneath this seemingly noble intent lies a troubling reality. When we live primarily for the approval, happiness, or expectations of others, we neglect our own inner desires, purpose, and potential. Stopping this cycle and starting to live authentically for yourself is not only essential for personal well-being, but is also crucial for true fulfillment. When you live for others, you are often driven by a fear of rejection, failure, or disapproval. These fears can take root early in life when, as children, we learn that our value is tied to how well we conform to the expectations of parents, teachers, and society. This dynamic sets up a dangerous cycle. As adults, we continue to live out these expectations, often without questioning whether they align with who we are or what we truly want. In effect, living for others stunts our emotional and psychological growth. It inhibits us from exploring our own values, passions, and dreams, as we are too preoccupied with being what others want us to be. Living for yourself, however, means reclaiming the autonomy and responsibility over your own life. It means making decisions based on what brings you joy, satisfaction, and a sense of purpose, rather than on how others might perceive those choices. Living authentically allows you to align your actions, thoughts, and goals with your personal values, not with the fleeting and often conflicting expectations of others. This shift is not selfish, as some might argue. In fact, it is self-preservation. Constantly sacrificing your own happiness for others eventually leads to resentment, frustration, and a sense of hollowness that can permeate all areas of life. Evidence from psychology underscores the importance of autonomy in personal well-being. Autonomy, defined as the ability to make one's own choices and control one's destiny, is one of the three pillars of self-determination theory, SDT, developed by psychologists Edward Deci and Richard Ryan. According to SDT, autonomy is essential for psychological growth, motivation, and well-being. When you make choices based on internal goals and desires, rather than on external pressures, you are more likely to experience higher levels of happiness and fulfillment. Conversely, those who feel that their lives are dictated by others' expectations often experience anxiety, depression, and a lack of motivation. This idea is also supported by the concept of people-pleasing, a common behavior associated with living for others. People-pleasers habitually put others' needs above their own, often to avoid conflict or rejection. While this behavior may bring temporary approval from others, it often leaves the individual feeling drained, unappreciated, and unfulfilled. Over time, this pattern erodes self-esteem because it sends a subtle but powerful message that your own needs, desires, and identity are less important than those of others. The constant act of suppressing your true self to fit into someone else's mold creates a disconnect between who you are and how you live. On the contrary, when you start living for yourself, your sense of self-worth increases. You begin to respect your own boundaries, desires, and limitations, which in turn fosters a stronger, healthier relationship with yourself. This self-respect often translates into better relationships with others, as you are no longer engaging in relationships out of obligation or fear, but out of mutual respect and shared values. You are more likely to attract people who appreciate you for who you truly are, rather than those who are drawn to a persona you've created to please them. Living authentically for yourself is also crucial for personal growth and self-discovery. When we live for others, we tend to avoid risks or new experiences that could lead to criticism or judgment. We stay within the confines of what is socially or culturally acceptable, even if that means stifling our own dreams or potential. By living for yourself, you give yourself permission to explore, to fail, and to grow. You become more open to new opportunities, whether in your career, relationships, or personal endeavors. The fear of judgment diminishes because your self-worth is no longer tied to external approval. An example of this can be seen in career choices. Many people choose careers based on what they believe will please their parents, society, or peers, rather than pursuing their own passions or interests. While this may bring initial financial or social success, it often leads to a sense of dissatisfaction or burnout. According to a 2019 study published in the Journal of Vocational Behavior, individuals who pursue careers aligned with their intrinsic interests are not only more satisfied with their jobs, but are also more resilient in the face of challenges. Those who choose careers based on external pressures, however, are more likely to experience burnout, low job satisfaction, and even regret later in life. This underscores the importance of living for yourself, especially when it comes to long-term decisions that impact your overall happiness. Moreover, living for yourself encourages a deeper connection with your purpose. Purpose is often misunderstood as something external, like a prestigious job or social status. However, true purpose comes from within and is deeply personal. It is about aligning your actions with what brings you fulfillment and meaning. When you live for others, you are unlikely to find or fulfill your purpose because you are constantly looking outward for validation. When you live for yourself, you begin to ask the deeper questions. What brings me joy? What do I find meaningful? How can I contribute to the world in a way that is authentic to who I am? These questions can only be answered when you stop living for others and start listening to your own inner voice. Another powerful benefit of living for yourself is the liberation it brings. When you stop living for others, you free yourself from the constraints of societal expectations, cultural norms, and other people's opinions. You become less concerned with fitting in or being liked, and more focused on being true to yourself. This freedom allows you to pursue your passions without guilt or shame. It allows you to embrace your uniqueness rather than conforming to a standard that doesn't resonate with you. Living for yourself empowers you to take risks, to make bold choices, and to stand firmly in your truth, even when it goes against the grain. This principle extends to other areas of life, such as creativity. Many people suppress their creative urges because they fear judgment or ridicule. Living for others often means sticking to the safe path and avoiding anything that might challenge the status quo. However, some of the most successful and fulfilled individuals in history are those who dared to break away from conventional norms and live authentically. Consider artists, writers, entrepreneurs, and visionaries who have made a lasting impact on the world. Their success often came from their willingness to live for themselves and follow their unique path, regardless of what others thought. By living authentically, they tapped into a source of creativity and inspiration that might have remained dormant had they chosen to conform. It is important to address a common misconception. Living for yourself does not mean abandoning compassion or neglecting others. In fact, when you are living authentically, you are more likely to be compassionate and empathetic toward others because you are not operating from a place of resentment or obligation. You are not giving from an empty well. Instead, you are able to give freely and generously because your own needs are being met. In relationships, this translates to healthier dynamics where mutual respect, understanding, and authenticity thrive. Living for yourself actually enhances your capacity to connect with others in meaningful and fulfilling ways. In conclusion, living for others may seem like a noble pursuit, but in reality, it often leads to dissatisfaction, resentment, and a lack of fulfillment. On the other hand, living for yourself allows you to reclaim your autonomy, align with your true values, and pursue your passions without fear of judgment. It fosters personal growth, strengthens your sense of self-worth, and enhances your relationships by promoting authenticity. It allows you to live a life of purpose, freedom, and creativity, unburdened by the expectations of others. Choosing to live for yourself is not selfish. It is an act of self-respect and empowerment. It is a necessary step toward living a truly fulfilling and meaningful life. The only person who can define your worth, your purpose, and your happiness is you. Therefore, Stop living for others and start living for yourself. Your life, your happiness, and your legacy depend on it.